We're building an agile food supply chain and really transforming the food system. And that means being able to handle all kinds of different data and products and everything coming in.
The cloud-based solution is amazing. Not having to be tied to an office, especially in a time where we're dealing with a pandemic, is great to be able to have our non-essential employees working from home effectively.
QuickBooks was appropriate for where we were as a startup, but we quickly grew. We acquired a couple of businesses. We had to do integrations that QuickBooks couldn't support. We needed Acumatica to do that.
So ultimately, this isn't just a food waste problem, it's a data problem. Being able to trust the data and then have access to the data is absolutely key.
As Food Maven grows and as the mission to use all foods with good purpose, Acumatica is going to help us be that one system that unifies us as we grow from one distribution center to the next.
Welcome to the 2021 R1 Distribution Edition Breakout. In this session, we will provide a brief overview of the capabilities of the Distribution Edition and demonstrate several of the new features introduced in the latest release. My name's Doug Johnson, and I'll be joined by Eric Moreau. I'll have the pleasure of introducing the Distribution Edition and talking about some of our customers, and Eric's going to demonstrate and describe the benefits of several of the new 21 Release 1 features. Before we get started, a couple of housekeeping items. If you have any questions during the presentation, please enter them via the live discussion area on the right part of your screen. This is very important. We want to get to as many possible questions as possible. If we can't get to your question, we'll respond to you individually after the event via email. If you have any technical issues, please click on the Help Desk button. And finally, we're going to make this session available as an on-demand event after it's occurred, so you can review it and watch it again later at your leisure. During the session, I'm going to be doing the distribution overview. I'm talking about overview and benefits, some of the integrations, and talking about some of our customers. And here's some of the 21 Release 1 features that Eric is going to be demonstrating when we get to that part of the presentation. The Acumatica distribution is primarily for mid-sized companies who sell to other businesses. As with all Acumatica editions, functionality is packaged and completely integrated within a single application and database. This means that when sales enters an order, the shipping team is instantly notified and can begin picking, packing, and shipping using the warehouse management capabilities. When items are shipped or adjustments are made, then the procurement team can immediately see the impact on inventory and take measures to optimize it. Sales management, finance, and reporting all is bundled together in a completely web-based application that's completely future-proof. Gaining additional sales is key to growing your business. The Distribution Edition supports this by providing an omni-channel sales environment, so you can accept online orders, inbound phone calls, and even take orders via other electronic means, such as EDI. Additional growth opportunities occur when you nurture satisfied customers who repeat orders, serve as referrals, and entering glowing reviews online. The key to this is carefully optimized inventory management so that you can prevent stockouts while minimizing your inventory carrying costs. Acumatica supports drop shipments and purchase-to-order scenarios, so you can easily work with your supply chain vendors. Since launching our native warehouse management and barcoding solution, most distribution customers have purchased it. The automated solution has been used by large and small customers to reduce picking, packing, and shipping errors. In addition, you can do receiving and put away. It also enables you to do inventory counts. There's no end of functionality available with our online barcoding. Reducing the amount of errors is one example of how this is really improving growth. Not only does it improve customer satisfaction, but it saves a ton of time and money. So for example, if you ship 500 orders a day, as many of our customers do, and you reduce your error rate by a mere 5%, that's 25 return shipments and countless hours of manually correcting orders that you no longer have to worry about. Most importantly, all the data in Distribution Edition is in a single relational database, so you can display KPIs on a dashboard or perform analysis using pivot tables without leaving the Acumatica application. Today's customers are increasingly online. Younger generations and people working from home expect to do business without having to call an 800 number. For this, we have Acumatica's B2B and portal and commerce integrations. These allow your customers to quickly perform tasks such as placing repeat orders, managing account information, downloading statements and invoices, and looking up the status of their orders. The key to successful distribution companies is being able to interact the way their customers want to. And today, many of those interactions are done online. Just as important as the distribution edition itself are the integrations that come with it. Acumatica has embedded integrations which ship with the distribution edition, as well as external integrations that are provided by ISV partners. On the screen, you can see I've listed a few of the critical ones. Embedded integrations are pre-integrated and ship with the Acumatica product. In most cases, all you need to do is obtain an account and enter the account information into Acumatica. These are things like the sales tax. We support Avalara and now recently Vertex. Carrier shipping is another example. We support EasyPost, ShipEngine, and we have native integrations with UPS and FedEx. Commerce engines such as Shopify and BigCommerce are part of our commerce offering. So once again, that's all included as pre-integrated and it ships with the Acumatica product. ISV integrations fill product gaps. So delivery optimization using WorkWave is a new integration that's coming early in 2021. For those of you who ship orders to through a local truck or do have your own local delivery routes, the new WorkWave integration will allow you to optimize those, getting proof of delivery and allowing you to plan your routes on a daily basis. Forecasting and planning applications such as NetStock help with the inventory planning, while business intelligence solutions from DataSelf and Power BI enable deep analysis of your distribution data. So let's take a look and see how some of our customers use the distribution edition today. So we did a quick look at the Dun & Bradstreet SIC and NAICS codes associated with our distribution customers. Not surprisingly, most of them are in wholesale distribution. But you'll notice that we have a number of other verticals that use Distribution Edition for managing inventory and stock, for creating sales orders, purchase orders, and other things that help them run their business more efficiently. For example, there's several manufacturing customers. These customers may use the Acumatica Distribution Edition for doing their shipping and management of inventory, while using some other process for enabling their manufacturing capabilities. Over there in the Other tab, you can see that there's several other types of verticals that we've included: consumer goods, construction, education, government, not-for-profit, and so on and so forth. Almost all types of industries can benefit from the capabilities of the distribution solution. Here's an overview of the way some of our customers have purchased and deployed the Distribution Edition. Not surprisingly, most of our customers are on the Advanced Edition. We do have several small business customers and some enterprise as well. With changes to our SKUs, we expect to get even more enterprise customers as time goes on. Over on the right, you can see that most customers are on a subscription. Primarily, they're SaaS customers that take advantage of Acumatica's completely hosted environment for backups and providing providing a complete infrastructure for running your business. There's some others that use the private cloud subscription and provide either a third-party hosting solution or host it themselves. We have a few legacy customers from the perpetual license, but those were mostly people that joined Acumatica a long time ago and continue to enjoy the benefits of the software without using the subscription model. As time goes on, more and more customers are going with the subscription model, as that's the way that software seems to be sold these days. Acumatica is used around the globe today by customers with many different needs. I've selected a few customer examples just to give you an idea. OFSI provides tubular drilling materials for the oil and gas industry. They also provide inspections, couplings, and other oil field solutions associated with doing services. Lot and serial tracking is very important for them, and they've built customizations to help them track attributes associated with those lot and serial numbers. Another example is ToughBuilt. They're a public company which distributes goods through leading retailers. With manufacturing in India and China, a cloud system was critical. In addition, they've extended the Acumatica Distribution Edition by building several integrations, including EDI connections to 3PL providers. They've used DataSelf for reports and Artsel for sales order automation. Food Maven prevents food waste by putting buyers and sellers together. They replaced QuickBooks to better manage inventory, and APIs were critical to connecting its already built commerce platform. Global Beauty Care sells skincare products in over 60,000 stores around the world, both branded and via white label. Before Acumatica, Global Beauty Care was using a legacy system which didn't even allow cut and paste. They extended Acumatica with the help of PC Bennett to have SPS Commerce and ShipStation. In addition, they used a container management solution which was built by PC Bennett. Bluefin Collectibles is a distributor of hobby and unique action figures. They have many unique inventory items and over 10,000 customers. They have pre-orders prior to production, so customers order and then they go produce the goods. Tracking the goods as they're on the ocean is important. The ocean actually becomes a separate warehouse in their implementation. Ink is an industry-leading screen printer that prints over 10,000 t-shirts a day with exclusive artwork designs. They're utilizing a third-party solution called Print Shop, which manages the complexities of automating production processes from quotes to approvals to job setup, all while integrating with Acumatica. These are just a flavor of some of the ways in which customers are extending Acumatica Distribution Edition and taking advantage of it to benefit their business. Now I'd like to turn it over to Eric, who's going to be providing you with an overview of the 2021 Release 1 features. Eric, I'm sure people are excited to see it, so let's get started.
All right. Thank you very much, Doug. That was very informative, and I'm happy to say even I learned a few things along the way as well. Hello, everyone. My name is Eric Moreau. I'm the Director of Pre-Sales here at Acumatica, and I feel very fortunate to be able to take you through the distribution enhancements for 2021 R1. The functionality that we provided in this release is in the area of licensing and workflow. So here we've enhanced the functionality around cross-company sales. So we'll talk about that. And then also we'll talk about the ability to receive non-stock items without the inventory feature enabled within Acumatica. This is something that partners have been asking for quite a while, and happy to say it's now available. Existing functionality that we've improved is on the matrix inventory area. The dropship enhancements we've added to 2021 R1. We've improved the user interface dramatically, so we'll show you that. And then we'll talk about the gross or net tax support that's now available within Acumatica as well. So the first thing we'll demonstrate for you today are the user interface improvements. Acumatica continues to win awards for our user interface. In each major release, we improve the interface that will provide for an overall better user experience. Some of the enhancements in the distribution area are as follows. The terminology improvements on many of the forms are going to be shown to you today. We have an addition of a new addresses tab. Now, information that was on the financials and shipping tabs has been moved to the addresses tab. So as a result, we've reorganized information on those tabs. We provide a link from purchase orders back to sales orders, allowing for a more streamlined experience. We've improved user experience when saving and closing documents, and then also from any form, we provide access to generic inquiries. Now, those last two items, folks, are actually available throughout Acumatica. They are not unique to the distribution area, but I did want to show them to you today. So in order to demonstrate the user improvements, I'm going to call out sales order number 6028 through my universal search. Very great tool. Allows me to access information very quickly. So here you'll see that I have sales order 6028. And one of the things you'll note is that the terminology on the tabs has been changed. In previous releases, it would say things like tax details or commission details or financial details. Well, we recognize that was redundant. So what we've now done is drop the word details where appropriate, except for on the details tab, of course, and then just give you a more direct description of each of the items. As mentioned earlier, we have now added an address tab, and on that tab, you will see things like the bill to address and the ship to address. So in addition, you'll see the ship to contact and the bill to contact. Now, this information was shared between the financial and the shipping tabs earlier. Well, because we've moved that information off of that tab, you'll see it's allowed for a cleaner, crisper look, if you will. In addition, on the financial tab, you'll see that we can track ownership information as well as other information as it relates to this particular document. And on the shipping tab, I, for one, can appreciate that this is not as busy as this tab had been in the past. The next item I want to demonstrate for you is on the PO side. So I'm going to call up purchase order number 1463, and you'll see this is actually a drop ship purchase order. And given that it's a drop ship, there's a good chance it was actually for a customer. So maybe we're out of stock, so we're going to do a drop ship, and that's exactly what happened in this scenario. You'll see that it's related to sales order 6022 that's linked, and then I can also see that the Acer laptop is represented by line number 1 on the sales order. All right, so it's great information right at our fingertips. Now, a couple of you are probably scratching your head at this point and saying, geez, I can't even remember where that information was prior to 2021 R1, but it was actually on the other tab. I remember doing a couple of demos, and it's not an area I demonstrate all that often. So I would have to kind of try to remember where that information was, and the other tab was usually the last place I would look. Now I'm happy to say, providing a greater user experience, we're going to put that information right at your fingertips. Now, the next two pieces of information that I'm going to share with you, again, this is the functionality that's available throughout Acumatica. It used to say up here, save and close. It was the word, save and close. And this is how you would close the document out. But now I can do that through a keystroke. So some people don't like to reach for the mouse. So we have provided keystroke functionality here to close out. But then also the other thing I can do is if you look up here, if I click on this purchase orders, it's actually going to be a direct connect back to the generic inquiry for purchase orders. Okay. So let's go back to the PowerPoint and discuss the next topic. Okay, so the next item we're going to discuss is cross-company sales. Now, in this scenario, we talk about growing companies acquiring other companies, and when they do so, they want to establish those buy-sell relationships between wholesale and retail entities, for example. So the feature components, we've established companies as customers and vendors in our demo environment. And really what I want you to note is how quick the transactions are created between entities. So here we automate sales order creation when purchase orders are created in a related entity. And then we automate purchase receipt creation when shipments are created in a related entity. So in this case, we have a buying company. In my example, this is going to be Services East. So Services East is going to create a purchase order. Once approved, we're going to create and push that purchase order information over to the selling company to generate a sales order systematically. From there, we're going to manage that sales order, and we're going to create a shipment, and we're going to confirm the shipment. Now, once confirmed, we're actually going to push that information back over as a goods receipt into the buying company. From there, the buying company can create an invoice associated with these transactions. And then ultimately, the selling company will have the ability to generate a sales invoice as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at that within Acumatica. And before I do so, I want to show you the shipping clerk dashboard because this is where that transaction is going to end up. So at this point, I'm currently logged in as Products Wholesale. And on the shipping clerk dashboard, you'll see that I do not have a transaction from Services East. So let's go ahead and take a look at Services East. So I'm going to log in. All right, very easy to do. All right, and then I'm going to call up the particular purchase order that I want to work with. So it's purchase order number 1481. All right, love my universal search. Okay, so let's take a look at the purchase order. You can see it's normal purchase order number 1481. It's the vendor is Products Wholesale, which is the related company that we see here. All right, we can also see that it's for the Acer laptop, and it's for 2 units at $250 per, or a total amount of $500. Now, critical to the success of this exercise, folks, is to make sure that you're using the warehouse that's associated with the Services East location. In this case, it's the VA, or Virginia Wholesale Services East warehouse. Okay, well, in a normal fashion, I would remove the hold and approve this transaction. Once this purchase order has been approved, I can go to Actions, and from here, I can actually generate the sales order. Now, before we do it, I just want to reinforce, it's purchase order 1481, Acer laptop, quantity of 2 for $500. So let's go ahead and generate the sales order. So you'll see that quickly. All right, I'm going to log back into Products Wholesale. And as I mentioned, if I go back onto my favorites and go to the Shipping Clerk dashboard, you will see there's the Services East sales order that we just created. So that quickly, it's amazing really how quick we can push these transactions over to each, back and forth to each entity. So what we're going to do is we're going to drill back on that sales order number 6040 and look, see how it brought the information over? This was the purchase order that was generated over in Services East. So when we systematically bring that information over into Acumatica, or I should say into Products East, because it's already in Acumatica, that information is going to flow with it. We see the 2 units. Okay. Now, from here, what we're going to do is we're going to manage the shipment. So this is standard Acumatica functionality. We would create the shipment. All right. And then once we've gone out, we've picked the product, we put it in a box, we've shipped it off, we would then confirm the shipment. Okay. So once I've confirmed the shipment, the next thing I want to do is I want to let Services East know that that's on its way. So what I'm going to do is underneath Actions, I can choose Generate PO Receipt. Again, that quickly, that transaction actually already exists in Services East. Now, before I do that, and I don't want to log back and forth too many times, what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to go ahead and prepare the invoice here. So we're going to prepare the invoice, and you'll see that it's with Services East, all right, which is my customer, and we're going to go ahead and release that transaction. Okay, and again, I love me some debits and credits. So I'm going to go on the Financials tab, and if I look, you can see the general ledger transaction that was generated, as you would suspect, accounts receivable related company for $500 in revenue for $500. That's the AR transaction. I can also call up the inventory transaction and see what's happening there. It's again for 2 Acer laptops, and now we're going to relieve inventory of $500 and recognize that against cost of goods sold. Okay. If I go back into Services East, okay, and again, we're going to go look at the purchase goods receipt. All right, and purchase receipts. All right, so I have a balanced transaction there, so let's go take a look at that. So again, this is the transaction that was pushed over from Products Wholesale very quickly. Now, granted, I did the additional processing, but if I'd logged into Services East, it would have been available straight away. All right, so here it is. Okay, so from here, I can release the transaction. Okay. And from here, if I want, I can continue. I'm then going to generate the AP transaction. So underneath favorites, I have an item here called Generate Intercompany Transactions, and there it is. So I'm going to go ahead and process this. And again, through our scheduling tools, folks, we can actually have scheduled to have, most of these processes run automatically without even having to touch them. So if I go into bills and adjustments, you'll see that I have a transaction on hold for $500 representing the purchase of those 2 items, and you will recognize the vendor, Products Wholesale. At this point, I can go ahead and remove. I can release, again, release, post to AP, post to AR, post to inventory, update along the way. Everything went well. Go to financial details. I can drill back. Now, on the buy side, you would suspect, I would see there's the payable related company being credited for $500 and the inventory purchase, inventory purchase accrual, and the inventory transaction. If we call that up, you'll see that inventory is being increased and the purchase accrual is being cleared. All right, so let's go back into Products Wholesale. And again, that's a very nice functionality, allows you to manage those inventory items very quickly. So let's take a look at the presentation. Okay, the next item we're going to talk about are the matrix inventory enhancements. So again, we added matrix items or size, color, style a short while ago, so we continue to improve that area. Here we're talking about distributors need to manage many inventory items which can be sold online or over the phone. Matrix items simplify the creation and management of related inventory items. Now, in this case, we talk about the ability to add spaces to IDs and descriptions. So we'll talk about that, or actually I'll demonstrate that rather than talk about it because it will be easier to show you. We can manage images for template items, again, something that the partners have been asking for, that clients have been asking for, so you can now add pictures to your matrix items as well. You can edit the descriptions of your items on the for your templates. I'll show you that. You can also now maintain mass updates on your items. So in case we have, large number of t-shirts, you have small, medium, large, extra large, 2X, and then you may have 5 or 6 different colors associated. Well, that's a lot of items, and to be able to touch all those items individually could be a lot of work. So now you can do mass update. New in 2021 R1 is the ability to manage a single variant items. Now, what we're talking about there, if you look here, we have the t-shirt, and the 2 variants are black and extra large. Well, prior to 2021, you were required to use 2 variants. So even if you didn't need the second variant, you had to set it up. Well, happy to say in 2021, you no longer need to do that. And then also on sales quotes and opportunities, there's a button that allows you to add matrix items. So now you can bring those items into quotes and opportunities very quickly as well. So in order to show you this functionality, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go into the template items here. And I'm going to work with a sweatshirt item. This is an item that I had created. And the first thing we'll do is let's go ahead and look at the configuration. Now, on configuration, there's a lot going on in here, but this is basically where you're building out the different characteristics, so color as well as size, and the number of characters for each. And then if you go down here, you can see I now have a column here that says use space as separator. Okay, or add spaces rather is what I wanted, and you'll see it here as well as here. So what happens if you look at the matrix items, so let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit. All right, if you look here, the blue, so BLUE space, and then the dash, right? Or the orange, you'll see the orange fills up the entire description where blue is allowing for spaces. Now, if you don't want spaces, all right, then on the configuration, you would just choose no spaces. But because we do want the space, it's going to fill out. Now, where is this helpful? In your reporting. Again, it makes things look more uniform as opposed to looks like things are moving in and out. So it just allows for a more uniform view when you're looking at your items. Okay. If I go back on the configuration tab, I mentioned we could actually manage images on your matrix items as well, which you were not able to do that previous. Another nice feature within Acumatica is the ability to edit these descriptions. So yes, these descriptions were system generated, all right, and it did exactly what I wanted it to do, but there may be a time when I want to change the description on one of these items, okay? So instead of being sweatshirts, I don't know, maybe I want to call it, I don't know. I'm not that creative, folks, but but regardless, there's a need for it. People asked for it, and we delivered. In addition, you can also override things like MSRP and default price. Again, items you are not able to override previous. And then the other thing we've provide for now is the updates. So let me I was wondering why my view was just a little bit different there. Let me just shrink this in a little bit. All right, so now we can update settings. We have a new tab in 2021 R1 where we can, again, provide maintenance on these large number of items. So on the sweatshirts, it's not that big a deal. I only have a dozen of them or half a dozen. I can manage them very quickly. But if you look at the t-shirt, you can imagine if I had to do maintenance on all of these items, it could be quite cumbersome. So now we provided an update feature to allow that to be an easier process, if you will. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look back at our presentation, and now we'll talk about the dropship enhancements. All right. So again, the demand for product in faster, sooner, quicker is, more prevalent today than ever. So supply chains are more integrated than ever. Sellers must respond quickly to orders while minimizing inventory. This means that orders must be fulfilled directly from vendors to customers without being received at the seller's warehouse. So what we're trying to do, folks, is we're trying to eliminate the number of steps required in order to get product to our end customer. Now, what we've done here with 2021 R1 is that we can now link dropship sales orders with purchase orders. So we'll show you what I'm talking about when we say the link. Again, you've been able to do that, but now we've made it, we've improved that process, if you will. You can manage order changes, and again, very neat is the ability to manage vendor returns. Now, in this scenario, what we're doing is if I were to buy something from Products Wholesale, and if Products Wholesale did not have it in stock, then they would do a drop ship, and maybe they're having something drop shipped to me. So when that item shows up at my house, maybe it's the wrong color, maybe it's damaged. So what I would have to do is I would have to call Products Wholesale, and I still would call Products Wholesale, but then they would say, okay, you know what, send us the product. Well, now what you can do is you can manage vendor returns on drop ships where I would send that product directly to the vendor. So it eliminates those steps. Again, makes it much more mainstream, or streamlined rather, if you will. So let's go ahead and take a look at the functionality that we've added within 2021 R1 in the areas of drop ships. Now, in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to call up sales order number 6029, and we're going to go ahead and call up. You'll see it's a particular sales order, 6029. Now, what I want to bring to your attention is that we've done the mark for PO and the purchase to order, and that's functionality that exists prior to 2021 R1. But now what happens when I go to create the purchase order, what I want to show you is if I go to Actions and create purchase order, all right, so far nothing's new. So I'm going to go ahead and choose that item and go ahead and process it. Okay, what it did is it created the normal purchase order. Again, I did not do a drop ship. In other words, this product is going to come into our warehouse. But one of the things I wanted to point out to you is that we now have this view sales order demand. So if I click that item, I can actually see the sales order that's associated with this purchase order. Okay, now I showed you earlier where the improvement lies, where when it's a drop ship, the information appears here. When it's a normal purchase order, as opposed to drop ship, you will view the information here. The other thing that you have the ability to do now is, again, if I call up an additional purchase order, so let me call up purchase order 1470. Okay. And now what you're going to notice, folks, is that it's drop ship. But looky here, we now have a new status, and it's awaiting link. Well, because it's drop ship, we're expecting it to be linked to a purchase order, a sales order. So from here, and again, there's a warning, right? Yep, it's not linked, all right? So then what you can do is you can manage the ability to create a sales order directly from here. Now, again, I don't know how widely used it is. I'm going to be honest. I have not run across this particular scenario where I've created the dropship purchase order beforehand, but it is conceivable that you would need to do so. So here I could actually convert or create a sales order, or I could also convert to normal, meaning I'm going to no longer make it a dropship. It's going to be delivered to my warehouse. Okay, and then the other thing that you see here is unlink from sales order. All right, and the reason that's unenabled or not accessible to me at this point is there is no sales order on this particular transaction. But if I go back to this normal and, oh, actually I need a drop ship. Sorry about that. Go to drop ship. Okay, and then back up one. Okay, well, regardless, if it is linked to a sales order, you would be able to unlink it from a sales order at that point. Okay, so that was it for dropship enhancements. Let's go back to the presentation. Okay, so that's really it for demonstrations, folks. The last two items will be for discussion only. The first item we're going to talk about is price list support of net gross prices. Now, this is functionality that was developed primarily for Germany and France. And really what it allows us to do is whether we're going to include that or value added tax or exclude that when we're selling product. Okay. Now, gross prices are configured for B2C clients and include that. So you're selling to an end user, so you are going to include the VAT tax. If you're selling to B2B, then taxes are not going to be included. And the reason being is the tax is actually going to be collected when we're transacting in the B2C transaction. So in other words, we're trying to avoid the double taxation, if you will. And that's really what we're trying to address with net and gross prices. Now, in 2021, through the Enable feature, you can enable net and gross entry mode functionality that will provide additional choices while setting up sales prices. In this screenshot here, you can see what we're talking about. So once it's been enabled, you will now see these additional choices on the sales price list. The other item that we're talking about here is the ability to enable receipts for non-stock items without inventory feature. And Doug, I'm pretty sure I heard some people with shouts of excitement over this one. What we're talking about here, folks, is, well, let's tell you good examples, is if you're purchasing office supplies and you want to manage that purchase process, okay, but you don't want to buy inventory, you can now do that with Acumatica and starting in 2021 R1. Or if you're in the construction industry and you don't want that inventory, you want to manage the inventory, but you know you need to buy it, you know you need to process it, you know you need to recognize the liability and the receipt and the AP. Well, now you can do all that without having to buy the inventory feature. So basically, now that I've given you the examples, some clients want to manage goods receipt as part of the purchasing process, but don't have a need for the full inventory capabilities. Prior to 2021 R1, this was not possible, and for clients that needed this functionality, they were forced to purchase the full inventory license. Starting in 2021, we've added new enable feature that will allow clients to manage the purchasing process from end to end without having to license the full inventory capability. So underneath enable, you would remove inventory and add this item. All right, so it's great functionality. And again, I know a lot of you out there are very excited about this. All right, bear with me, folks. We're wrapping up here. I appreciate your patience. The last slide for the day is, how can you stay informed? How can you provide feedback? Use Acumatica communities, right? It's been getting great traction over the last several months since we rolled it out. But within here, you can actually go to Community, Acumatica, and Ideas. Folks, this is where we look when we're determining what do we want to add to the product, all right? This is very important. We take it very seriously. So if there's ever an enhancement you want to make or a suggestion for improvement, this would be the place to log it. Specifically as it relates to distribution, you can find additional information at Acumatica.com and then Cloud ERP and Distribution Management. Okay. So on behalf of Doug Johnson, my name is Eric Moreau, and I want to thank you for your time today. Enjoy the rest of the day.